For centuries, the planar travelers known as the Eladrin ruled the island of Zhekesh, mastering magic and metal alike in their quest for power and knowledge. But everything changed when their creations, the Warforged, turned against them. Their catastrophic war reshaped Zhekesh, and at the height of the violence, the Eladrin vanished. Now, a young Eladrin named Thich returns to Zhekesh after a century in exile. She searches for signs of her people and seeks a way to unshackle her homeland from the grip of the Warforged generals who conquered it, the Iron Lords of Zhekesh.
Welcome to A Fistful of Dice, and you are watching session 2 of Iron Lords of Zhekesh. It's been a while since we've played, actually about...
a year,
well, I think about 8 months, because we played last this summer.
Oh yeah, we did.
Yeah, but it's been a while.
It's been a long time.
It's been a while. We got married in between there, went on our honeymoon, so a lot has happened, but we're very excited to be sitting back at the table and delving into Zhekesh, a land that we built together. We're just going to go ahead and do a quick little recap here and then just kind of dive right into it. So when we last saw Tila's character, Thich of Tien, she was returning to her city after 100 years of self-imposed exile. And she had left her people because she disagreed with their philosophies and the way that they were going about doing things. They were building lots of constructs and kind of getting away from their ties to nature. So she left, went into exile, went into her monkey hermitage for a while, but started receiving visions of great devastation and war and her people being wiped from the world. And so she returned to Zhekesh to find that her people, the Eladrin, had disappeared from Zhekesh 6 years ago. So she also found that her home city of Tien was covered in this kind of noxious magical purple haze called the miasma, which had very adverse effects on her. She was coughing up blood, very weak, lightheaded, her hair started falling out, so just bad news all around. And she also found that the city was completely deserted. The Eladrin had left, disappeared, wiped out, whatever, they were gone, leaving very little trace of their culture. So she ran into a goblin there named Quickpick, who at first hit her with an arrow, almost killed her. But they became allies sort of out of necessity because a bunch of orcs under the command of one of the Iron Lords showed up in Tien. And so they kind of had to sneak and fight their way out of the city of Tien and ran into a monstrous construct called a Gear Fiend, which is like a 2-story tall... Warforged, just this huge titan of metal and wood. What am I dropping? Something. Anyway. And they managed to best this being. Thich was very resourceful and used a length of chain and Battle of Hoth it, wrapped the chain around this thing's legs, tripped it, it fell into a building, and they managed to escape. But on the way out, Thich was overcome with the effects of the miasma and grew fainter and fainter and ended up lapsing into unconsciousness and received a vision of the wall in the fane, that mural with the cube slot in it, as she lapsed into unconsciousness and the darkness took her. And so that was where we last saw her, was unconscious in the care of a goblin thief, which is not a good place.
What could go wrong?
Yeah, what could go wrong? One that almost killed you. So, are you ready to continue our adventures in Zhekesh?
I'm so ready.
Cool. So, you're unsure how long you've been asleep, but you've been dreaming while you've been under. And the dreams have been various different things. You've dreamed of growing up in Tien. You dreamed of your parents. You dreamed of your friends and your family as you knew them before you left. Some of the visions are happy, some of them are a little bit foreboding, some of them are dark. You see again the devastation and the ruin that you witnessed in your visions during your hermitage. You see again those 4 symbols that have been plaguing you all of these years. And you see again that wall, that mural in the fane, and you see light creasing it, splitting it as the light envelops you. And as this light envelops you, you wake. And as consciousness dawns, you realize that your head is aching, your vision is blurry, your mouth is very dry. You feel as though you've been sleeping for a long, long time as you wake up. And it's kind of dark and dim all around you, and you hear some kind of strange clattering, clanging noises as you wake. And as you kind of get your wits about you, you realize that you're laying in kind of a like a metal cot, very uncomfortable. It doesn't have any give to it. It feels like it's like a slab of metal with like a blanket on top of it or something like that. But you have a little bunched up pillow underneath you, and you see that you're inside. The walls around you are piecemeal metal and wood, kind of riveted, bolted together. There's little slits for windows, and light is filtering through the dust that is just in the air. You see that there's strange bits and baubles hanging from the ceiling, swaying in the air, clattering against one another. You see that there's shelves heaped with junk, scrap, little pieces of pewter and metal and stone and wood, just kind of piled together. No sense of organization to it whatsoever. And inside this small dwelling, probably the first thing that you notice beyond your surroundings is the fact that you can breathe. Mm-hmm. And you're not surrounded by the miasma anymore. And your breath comes a little bit easier than it did before you lapsed into unconsciousness. So what would you like to do here?
I first want to look and see if is my little canteen with me, or do I see water around anywhere? If I'm all just
you're
dry
super cottonmouth right now. You actually have none of your belongings on you. Your hammer is gone, the cube is gone, your satchel with the stuff that you are carrying with you, your what's the thing called? Herbalism kit is gone. Mm-hmm. The drift globe is gone. The little relics she found in TN are gone.
Okay. I'm going to look around the room then and see, is there anything that can, just help me get my wits about me a little bit better before I
if you look around, you see kind of off to the side, you see a little metal, kind of rusted metal basin, and you can see that there's water inside of it.
Good water?
I mean, it's clean. It looks clean.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and kind of tentatively take a little
sip. Yeah, as you do. The water is kind of coppery tasting, mm-hmm. but it otherwise seems okay.
Okay. Then I'm gonna drink whatever I need to kind of wake up a little bit, and sorry.
Someone's hammering outside.
It's like a construction zone.
That's part of the game. Yeah. Actually, you hear some hammering here and there.
I need to clear that miasma out of
my lungs. It's funny, she was getting over a cold last time we played, and now she's getting over a cold again. She's very devoted to her craft of role-playing.
That's why we had to wait so long to film another session. I was like, I can't. If I am in good respiratory health, I can't get...
Exactly. We had to wait for you to be sick again.
Okay, so I drink whatever I need to.
Yeah.
And then I want to explore my surroundings a little bit first. Mm-hmm. So I noticed that things were swaying. Yeah. So is there a breeze, or am I moving? Am I on something that's moving?
No, there's a breeze. The hut, it's basically a small hut. Just it looks like it has just a very basic dome frame, and then there's just pieces of metal and wood just kind of around it to kind of create this little hut. And there's openings all over it. It's not a complete wall, and so light and air are just kind of filtering through, and there's a slight breeze kind of blowing through the hut. And you can hear lots of voices and movement outside. It seems like you're maybe in a settlement of some kind. As you're drinking, though, and you're looking around, you see that there's kind of a little alcove off to your left. And if you look, you see that there's a shape. There's a figure kind of in this alcove with its back to you, wearing a cloak. And it's kind of muttering to itself, and it looks to be on a workbench of some kind. And you see that it's kind of fiddling with a bunch of stuff, and that's where that clattering sound is coming from, is in that little alcove.
Okay. And, like, they haven't seemed to notice that I'm not moving around? They haven't seemed to notice you.
They're very, like into what
focused.
They're doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to maybe try to... I want to get back towards my bed and, like, kind of rustle around a little bit.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm just going to kind of, like, lay down and be like, oh, I'm waking up.
Yeah, just kind of like, good sleep.
And, but I'm, like, I'm keeping my attention pointedly fixed on this figure.
So as you do that, the clattering stops. And you hear the figure kind of comes around the alcove, comes around the corner, and you see that it's it looks like a man, hooded and cloaked.
Sorry, I'm cracking myself up over here in my own head.
You look like a man.
That's exactly.
So he looked like a man, but he's made out of metal and wood.
Okay.
He's a construct of some kind.
Okay.
And he comes around the corner, and you see his glowing blue optics kind of come around the corner, and he focuses these glowing optics on you.
Okay.
And he kind of looks at you for a second, and then, like, ducks back behind the corner.
Oh, he doesn't want me to see him.
He's like, he kind of looks, sees that you're awake, and you see if a robot's eyes could widen, like his optics kind of go, and he goes, and just kind of leans back, like very casually, like, maybe she didn't see me.
And then he meows.
Okay. Yeah, he's a cat. He's a robot cat.
Oh, cute. Okay, so I say, excuse me, do you know where we are? Can you talk?
Yes, I can talk. And he comes around the corner again, kind of realizing, all right, jig's up. She sees me. And you see he's kind of fiddling with his very, like, nervously wringing his little metal hands together. And he comes around the corner, and you see he's kind of stooped. He looks like he's taller than you, but he's very stooped for a construct of his kind.
So I just sort of put my arms out like this and say, are you okay?
He says, yes, I'm fine. Why would I not be okay?
You seem distressed. You seem to be under distress.
Well, it is not every day that a moon elf stays in my hut.
Well, I feel like I've been here asleep for a long time. You can't be surprised to see me.
Not surprised to see you, but surprised to see you awake. You have been asleep for 2 weeks. The effects of the miasma have finally worn off.
Do you know who brought me here?
That goblin quick pick dropped you on my doorstep. I told him, nothing but trouble will the Eladrin bring me, but he insisted that you stay here, where it is safe. And he does this. Little servos in his fingers were.
Well, why would he bring me here? Who are you? And I'm starting to get a little agitated.
SK, you're not supposed to be on the table.
SK, get off of there.
So, he says, Warforged don't get names, but they call me Junker.
Okay, Junker, well, why would this be the place to take a unconscious moon elf.
I don't think that Quickpick thought it through, but it is also possible that he trusts me.
Oh, you're friends with Quickpick, and like she kind of
friends.
A little.
I would prefer not to use that term in relation to Quickpick. We are acquaintances, business associates. He brings me things, I sell them, we share the profit.
Oh, okay, so you're sort of the middleman between Quickpick and the consumer.
And the iron market, yes, something like that.
Oh. So you sell parts to other constructs?
Well, we scrappers, we go out into the battlefields and the ruins and we find useful things and we sell them on the iron market. The wares go to everyone. Humans, dwarves, Goliaths,
Oh,
folk.
I see.
No moon elves yet.
When's the last time that you saw a moon elf?
6 years ago, before the ruination. There have been none since. None that I have seen here in Vestige.
Well, do you know exactly what happened to them?
I wish. I don't. I will tell you what you have probably heard already, is that there was a bright light and the Eladrin were gone. The city became silent and the miasma was left behind. That is all I know.
And who was involved with this ruination?
The Iron Lords. The generals of the Warforged. Those who rose up against the Eladrin and convinced the rest of us to do the same.
I'm sorry, I'm just sitting here interrogating you, and you're a construct. Do you have anything to eat?
Anything to eat? Yes, I always forget that you have to eat. Quickpick should be back shortly, and he will probably have some food for you. Until then, I have water. I am curious, though. You have asked me many questions. I have asked you none. Quickpick says your name is Thich.
It is.
Well, Thich, what does this do? And he reaches into his cloak and he pulls out the cube. I've been trying to figure this out for 2 weeks now. What does it do?
I've been trying to figure that out for... God, how old am I? Sorry. Oh, that's right. So when did I first see this cube or come across it?
Well, you probably have been aware of it your entire life, but you took it right before you left for exile, so at least 100 years.
Like around 100 years. It's been in my sole possession.
Yep.
So I say, Junker?
Yes.
That's his name?
That's my name. Junker.
Junker, I have been trying to figure that cube out for 200 years.
Oh. Well, maybe I should not feel so bad then, that I could not figure it out in 2 weeks. It is infuriating to not know what it does, because there is something about this cube, something. I hope you don't mind. I rummaged through your things. You have very interesting possessions.
Well,
they
constructs don't usually have the same type of manners as Eladrin do.
You will find there's very little room for manners here in Zhekesh, is the way it is.
Oh, I can imagine.
It's a very different place than it was. How long have you been gone? Quickpick said you were in exile for some time.
For a century, about 100 years.
Ugh. So you missed all of the trouble. I envy you a bit, but it also must be hard to come back and see it so changed and different.
It's a pity what happened here, but if I'm being completely honest, I'm not completely surprised.
In many ways, the Eladrin brought the ruination on themselves, but you should not blame yourself or your people. The Warforged, ultimately, They overreacted. Now, about the things that you have in your bag, many of them would fetch a very high price on the iron market. Eladrin relics are particularly sought after.
I can imagine, but to me they are priceless. They're the remnants of incredible culture. While the Eladrin, unfortunately, brought a lot of their ruin upon themselves by the mistakes of a few, it was still a wonderful culture.
Yes, that is what I hear. I wish I could have known it better. In any case, if you do not want to sell them, then of course I will not try and convince you, but just putting that out there, so to speak, is that if you wanted to sell them, I could find a right buyer and we could split the profits.
Well,
80-20.
80-20?
It's 80 for you, 20 for me.
Oh, very good.
I'm a warforged.
I just got a little greedy there for a second.
Quick Pick is the thief. I am an honest man.
Well, should I come into a position where I will need money, I will keep it in mind.
Yes. Oh, also, I don't know if you've noticed, but the miasma had some other effects on this. Your hair is gone.
And I kind of feel...
It's like you're completely bald.
Just completely bald.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I mean, we kind of wanted that.
Yeah. It has been falling off in clumps for the last 2 weeks. I do not know if it will grow back.
I had a feeling that this was going to happen once. It seemed kind of unstoppable. Well, I'll have to find something else to keep my head warm.
Yes, well, you should try to keep a low profile while you're here in Vestige. I suggest a hood. Try to pose as a human as much as possible, so as that would be tough. You are very clearly a moon elf. This is why I did not agree with Cookpick bringing you here to Vestige, but he thought it was best.
Do people have, other than constructs, of course, the humans, the dwarves, do they have sort of negative feelings towards Eladrin?
Truth be told, I do not know, because they have not been Eladrin for so long, but I imagine that if nothing else, it would draw attention to you, and I imagine the Warforged would not take kindly those who are loyal to the Iron Lords.
So the Iron Lords want every last Eladrin gone? Was that their goal?
I can't imagine they would be happy to see one here.
They
after working so hard.
They want to finish what you started.
They would want to finish it. All right, we took a little break for lunch. Back at it. So, you have been conversing with Junker in his little hut for a while now, and I'll go ahead and give you, here's an inspiration point for asking good questions of Junker. And it's at this point that the door to the hut, which is little more than a piece of wood, like hanging off hinges, kind of flies open, and there's a small goblin standing there with his hood up, and he drops the hood, and you see it's Quick Pick. I mean, you assume it's Quick Pick. You're kind of like, I think that's Quick Pick.
Yeah.
You're not really able to discern different qualities of goblins quite yet, but he's got, big bat-like ears and kind of piecemeal armor, and you see he's got a bow kind of slung across his back. And he comes walking in, and he says, "Shit, you're awake. I didn't think you were ever going to wake up. How you feeling?"
I feel as good as one can for being asleep for what I hear was 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks and a couple days, actually. Dragged you all the way here from the outskirts of TN, I did. Right heroic of me, I'd say.
Well, I do have to thank you, Quick Pick.
Well, what can I say? Sometimes my courage and heroism just gets the best of me. And you see, if a robot could roll his eyes, his optics kind of go, "Woo," just kind of like, oh, give me a break. And he says, "Quick Pick, she's hungry. Do you have any food?" And he's like, "Well, no, I didn't bring any food, but there's a tavern in town, and we can go hit up the tavern. You can get some food. I can get something to drink, and you can see Vestige in all of its glory.
That sounds wonderful. I just need to put the finishing touches on this hood.
Oh, right, yeah, because of the whole...
I don't need to draw any more attention to myself than I already will, and as Junker so kindly suggested to me.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Sometimes he has good ideas. Junker, you coming with? And he kind of says, I'm not really feeling up to it, no. I have to stay here. But I will wait here for you guys to come back. And Quick Pick says, well, whenever you get your hood good, I'll take you to the tavern.
So I just finish taking part of my cape or my something that I can find around the hut and just whip together a quick little hood for myself to kind of cover up. And then is there any way I could put just a little bit of powder to cover my, because I have those
the
blue tattoos on my face?
Yeah, you could definitely whip up something pretty easily. The tattoos aren't as broadcasting the fact that you're a moon elf. Okay. So you probably don't need to worry about them too much, but if you wanted to go super under the radar, you could definitely whip something up. Totally up to you.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and look as human as possible. My eyes are already pretty obviously
you've got
not
pretty big, colorful eyes. Yeah.
So maybe I'll try to play it off a little bit.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so you maybe you get in your herbalism kit and mix up a little white powder or something and just kind of dab it on your face. And Quick Pick goes, "You done putting your makeup on? We can go to the tavern now." I just shoot him a nasty look.
And
he's like, "All right." The 2-week nap has done nothing to dampen your spirits, I see. And he kind of trots outside and leads you outside. And as he's going outside, Junker kind of, as you're leaving, says, "Be careful out there. Not all Warforged are as friendly and accepting as I am."
You are definitely probably the first construct that I have ever really liked and appreciated.
Because that is good.
And I just sort of give him a pat on the back.
And he says, at the same time, not all Warforged are bad.
Well, you have taught me that. I've learned something new today.
Oh, well, that is good. And if a robot could smile, again, he kind of, his lower jaw kind of lifts up a little bit. And he goes, and he hands you your satchel and your hammer. And it's kind of sorry.
Of course, thank you.
He says, if you don't mind, though, I might hold on to the cube for a bit and try to figure out what it does.
Do you think you can keep it safe for me?
I promise I will keep it safe. I swear on my metal heart that I will keep the cube safe.
What's Quick Pick doing? How's he looking at
Quick Pick's kind of looking in the door and kind of looking between you. Just kind of
maybe a little too interested in my cube.
Maybe a little bit. You could give me an insight check if you want to try and gauge his intentions.
Oh, that was a crack. It was
crappy roll. Roll on the crack. Hey.
22.
Very nice.
That was my...
Yeah.
I rolled a 20.
I rolled a 20. So you're not... you have very little experience interacting with constructs who are self-aware, have their own consciousness and stuff.
Right.
But you get the sense that Junker, if he was going to try and rip you off, he probably would have done so while you were asleep for 2 weeks. And so you feel... Obviously, you don't want to not have the cube with you, but you're also very interested in why Junker is interested in it.
Yeah, because I'm thinking, I've spent... this is... The cube is something I was interested in before I stole it.
Yeah.
So I've spent centuries tinkering with this thing in any way that I can.
Yeah.
So Junker might be able to figure something out with it that... it never hurts to have a fresh set of eyes
absolutely.
on a mystery like that.
Absolutely.
And I'm also kind of feeling God, I don't know exactly what I'm going to be getting myself into. And if I get dragged off with people who don't have good intentions.
Yeah.
Who I can't trust, they will just steal all my shit and sell it.
They'll take the cube.
So I want to ask Junker if I can leave more stuff with him.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because at this point, like I kind of like Junker.
Mm-hmm.
Quick Pick is good in my book too.
Yeah, he's good people.
So it's like I trust them with my stuff more than someone who could wipe me out, and I'm not doing great.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I'll be able to defend myself from anyone, let alone someone who's like powerful. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm gonna leave everything, all of the stuff that I found. There are animal noises.
There's all sorts of commotion going on.
So I found a bracelet, a chalice, a locket, and that little figurine.
Yeah, the dire oak figurine.
I'm gonna go ahead and keep I also have a basic power source that I took off the construct that I brought down. So I'm gonna keep that with me and my drift globe.
Okay.
As well.
But all the other stuff.
I'm gonna leave with Junker.
Okay.
And like Junker, I understand that it would get a lot of money, but like, please, I'm trusting you with it. Like, don't let anything happen to it and don't sell it. You can like tinker with it as much as you want to.
I promise that I will not sell it until you tell me to do so.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And Quick Pick's like, all right, yeah, can we go?
All right, yep, I'm starving.
All right, good, because I'm thirsty. So Quick Pick leads you out into the muddy streets of Vestige, which looks like it was made out of just whatever they could find. Junker's hut, the style of building, is kind of prevalent throughout the city. Just these high stacks and low huts just made out of like scraps of wood and metal and like old hollowed out war machines and stuff like that. It looks like they just picked up everything that was left on a battlefield and created a little town out of it. And you see that there's people walking here and there. All of them have, heavy packs with junk and stuff in them. All of these people are like scavengers. They're all scrappers. And you see these large bipedal birds, like just huge birds with these long necks, walking, and they're like loaded up with gear. And you see there's like scavengers like leading these birds through the streets, and the birds are just kind of like plodding along, bobbing their heads. And Quick Pick says, "Hefter birds, always wanted one of those. They can carry like 5 times their body weight."
They're not from where the bird folk at?
The bird folk are off the east coast of Zhekesh on these big salt pillars.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're not like intelligent like the
like
salt pillar.
Yeah, like these aren't bird folk. These are like animals.
Okay.
Yeah. And some of them have like saddles on them and stuff.
I'm keeping my eye open for injustices.
No, totally. You're like, hey. Are you paying that bird folk to carry that stuff? No, these are beasts of burden.
Do they have the option to unionize? Okay.
They're big big ostriches or emus,
right,
basically,
okay, cool.
carrying their stuff.
I'm just like, that's an impressive animal.
Kuka says, yeah, they're pretty handy to have around, that's for sure. And he continues leading you through the streets. A couple of times you hear like clanking armor, and if you kind of look around, you see that there are like groups of 2 or 3 Warforged kind of patrolling the streets, and you see them kind of like looking around, keeping an eye on people. They're carrying weapons and shields, and you see that they have a like on their shoulder pads or on their shields, they all have the same symbol of this flame, this like red flame, kind of like emblazoned on their armor plating. And every time they pass by, Quick Pick kind of tugs his hood a little bit lower and kind of just like keeps to the shadows a little bit, just trying to stay out of their way. They don't look like they're actively looking for something, but they're just like here, like guarding, patrolling, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Like Junker told you, this is the territory of Lord Brassflame.
Yeah. So that's I was just gonna ask quick pick. Junker mentioned some type of maybe one of the Iron Lord generals, Brassflame. Do you know anything about him?
Yeah, Brassflame controls this whole area up from Tien down to Bleak Peak. He's got a fortress over in the Scar, big old canyon. And he's a nasty fellow, that's for sure. Sends out patrols, has a bunch of orcs at his command. The Gear Fiend you tripped, that was one of his too.
So is he, have you ever seen him?
Can't say that I have. I assume he looks like all the other Warforged, though. I assume.
Nothing particularly special about him. He's not huge or anything like that.
I hope not.
Okay.
From what I hear, the only difference between him and any other Warforged is, well, he just got smarter quicker, I guess. All the Iron Lords, rumors say, were generals during the war before the Ruination. They were the ones who led the Warforged, and now they control Zhekesh. So, there you go. I definitely keep my head down, though. Could be there looking for you.
Do you know if Brassflame?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If Brassflame was directly involved with the Ruination?
Well, I can only assume he is, but I mean, I don't know for sure. His fortress is as close to Tien as any of the other Iron Lords, so if anyone was involved, it would have had to have been Brassflame.
Have you ever, like, tried to get into the fortress?
Oh, you're serious? No. Nope. No. Maybe once. A couple of times. Yes, I have tried a couple of times. I can only imagine what they have in there.
Do you think that it is an operation that could be taken on by a group of people?
I don't like where this conversation is going. we're not gonna talk about it anymore.
Well, we'll get to the tavern and get you a drink, and I'll get some food in my system.
Yep.
And maybe we can just talk about what you know about it.
Hey, sure, why not? Yeah, that sounds good. And he's kind of like, oh,